moving on to the user experience section of our presentation, we will try to be, I will try to be a little shorter than before so that we can have time to discuss everything. User experience is a person's perceptions and responses that result from the use or anticipated use of a product, system, or service. Experience is an experience. It cannot be designed. So one cannot design a user experience, but only design for a user experience. In particular, one cannot design a sensual experience, but only create the design features that can evoke it. As we can understand, we cannot design and manage the experience someone has. It's a absolutely personal matter of each one of us. So the experience cannot be designed. So the simplest way to think about user experience design as a verb and a noun. When we think of a user experience as a verb, we say that the designer designs or ideates or plans or changes the things that affect the user experience, which is the noun. And they are the perceptions and the responses to a system or a service. So the user experience is a noun. It cannot be designed, but we can design for the user experience. And this can be a profession. This can be done for a living. We design things for some users to have a good experience using a product. I will try to be very short. The basics of user experience involve the design of the entire process of acquiring and integrating the product, from the branding, design, usability, and function of the product, if it is a technology product or any other product, but let's focus on technology products. It has to do with the deep understanding of users, what the user really wants, and it aims to improve the quality of the user's interaction with the product. So when a person uses a digital product, we have to think functions like how intuitively can one navigate through the system, the cues that help the user achieve the goal, and the essential aspects of task at the appropriate time. We are all most of us are used to things, and it's difficult for us to change our way of our beliefs and our way of using things. So to design a user experience, when we have a new product to give to users, we research contexts of use, when, how, why will the user use this product. We specify the requirements. Why do we need this product for? We produce design solutions, maybe demos or trial versions of the product, and we evaluate the product we produced against the requirements we had set from the beginning. To do all these steps, there are some tools which can be used, and let me ask you to think as workers. Each step of these 4 steps can be a job description, and the tools seen on the right side of the slide can be the tools you use in your job. So if you are a researcher working in user experience design in a company that designs user experience, you may have the position of a researcher. you will probably use survey tools such as Typeform and Google Forms to help you with your research. If you are a designer, you will probably use some of the tools mentioned here to design the buttons and the whole experience for the user. So, 88 of online shoppers say that they wouldn't return to a website after having a bad user experience. And that shows the importance of a good user experience for the market and for companies. And why we have to look for and try to achieve good user experience for our users. What is the user experience design? It is the process of designing the entire process of uh, not only designing but acquiring and integrating the product. It has to do with the branding, the design, the usability, the function of the product. We don't only want the user to buy the product or be happy when he or she uses the product. We want him to be happy from the beginning, from when we advertise the product, when we package it, when we send it, when the users unbox it, when they use it, and when they stop using it, but feel the need to use it again or be happy after using it. So the user experience is what we need is for a person of average or even below average ability uh, to be able to figure out how to use our product to accomplish something without it being more trouble than it's worth. We want someone with not much effort to be able to use a product and at the end think that it was worth it. So there are some characteristics of user experience design. We want it to be usable, useful, desirable, findable, accessible, and credible. These characteristics are more or less expected from products and services around us. There are several lists of such characteristics. For example, this is a list is proposed by Peter Morville. Another list um, defines some key elements of user experience. We needed to be the product to be useful, learnable, memorable, effective, efficient, desirable, delightful, and accessible. I will only mention the questions one has to ask himself or herself when using a product. Does it do something people need done, which can be translated to is it useful? Can people figure out how to use it? Is it learnable? Do they have to relearn it each time they use it? Is it memorable? Is it effective? Which is, does it get the job done? Does it do what it's supposed to do? Does it get the job done with a reasonable amount of time and effort? Do people want it? And is using it enjoyable or even fun? User experience does not only ask for anyway, user experience is better when it is fun. So I will stick to the accessibility of our products. I think it's a very interesting um, way to think about products we use. and even design. Sorry, design our products. Let's think for a moment those who are sight, hearing, touch, motion, or learning impaired. When we create a product, we usually create it for normal people, people without disabilities, people without who are fully able-bodied users. And we don't think about people who may have impairments or any other problem and might need to use our products. Some say that it is not worth investing in those people. But if we think that for example, in UK, 22% of the population are disabled, it is not only a matter of a social matter, but it is a matter of business also. We are talking about the 1/5 of the customers, but we are not only talking about those people, we are talking about a percentage of people who are might be temporarily or situationally impaired. For example, if we create an application or a product, we don't only have to think about people who are disabled, for example, have only one arm, but we also have to think that someone may be temporarily disabled. For example, have an arm injury or a situational disabled person, a new parent with a baby on the one hand. So maybe we have to design our product so that it can be used with one hand only. Not only because people with one hand exist, but because someone can temporarily have only one hand available to use our product. The same happens for people with vision problems. Someone may be blind, someone may temporarily have a vision problem like a cataract, or someone a distracted driver, someone who drives and has to see, has to read a text message, is temporarily unable to see. The same happens with the hearing um, sense. Thank you. Someone may be deaf, have an ear infection, or be a bartender. And with the speech, someone may be nonverbal, have a throat problem, or have a heavy accent. So when we design a product, we don't only have to think about people who are not impaired or something. We have to think about all the whole experience. And moving to trying to see through the profession lens, we have to differentiate between the graphic designer and the user experience designer. In short, the graphic designer is a pixel-focused, specialized person, while the user experience designer is a user-focused, multidisciplinary person. Both of them use emotional design, creative thinking, and prototyping. The design process of user experience begins with the research, empathizes with the user to see the needs of him or her, creates the product, tests the product, and develops the track of the procedure of using the product. Some of the latest user experience trends are the passwordless login, or personalization, or voice assistant, and artificial intelligence, and virtual and augmented reality in products. These are some factors that we count to find to measure the experience of the user. We have to see happiness, engagement, adoption, retention, and task success factors. They are all countable. Happiness For happiness, the goal is for the user to create a product or an application that the user finds helpful, fun, and easy to use. We can measure it by having the user respond to surveys, leaving 5-star ratings and feedback, and the metrics to measure if a user is happy using a product is, of course, the number of 5-star reviews and several other measures. There are goals, signals, and metrics for each of the 5 factors of satisfaction of user experience. And concluding the user experience design, we can say that when technology delivers basic needs, the user experience dominates. It is all about understanding the needs and desires of the user and trying to design products based on them. There's a difference between user experience and user interface. If we see the difference here, the user interface is only the bit of the iceberg. Color, icons, typography, illustrator, graphic, visual design, and photography are only a small part of the user experience. The user experience is the basic part of the design of the product. The difference here is on the left side of the brain, the user experience is designed as the interactions, the prototypes, the information we collect from the user for what he or she needs, and several scenarios of using, while the user interface is only the buttons, the images, the layouts, and the typography. So it is a different profession working for user experience or user interface design. If we compare the human body, the user experience is the skeleton, the user interface is the skin. So the architecture of our body is covered with the skin. Our experience is covered with the user interface. Here there are some basic functions a user experience and user interface professional operates, so that we can connect these two and create the end product. The user experience is more critical and creative thinking, while the user interface is more creative and systematic thinking. User experience researcher, designer, or user interface designer. At the bottom of at the lower part of the slide, you can see what each of these professionals produces. The researcher produces a report of what we need to create. The designer, a design of this product, and the user interface designer just put some more graphic elements on the product. As for application design, there is also a difference between user experience and user interface. The user experience designer and user interface designer have different processes while working. The user experience designer designs based on the user's needs and the user's research. while the user interface designer designs based on the client's needs and requirements. The client of the user interface designer may be, who do you think may be the client?
The
Who?
company that buys this.
Yes, but if I am a user experience designer, I design something and I ask a user interface designer to put the graphic elements on it. So I may be his client. I'm asking him, I have designed it and I am asking him to create it for me. Mm. Mhm.
But can we do, sorry, can we do each other?
Both. Yes, maybe they can do both, but the user interface designer may be a graphic designer, for example, someone uh, who uses Adobe Photoshop or a software that creates web pages. But to create a good web page good for your needs, you have to do the research and design it on paper maybe, and think where do you want the menus to be, where do you want the photo to be, where if you will have a disabled people um, functionalities and everything. So even if you think about this, you don't have to be a user. It's not necessary that you are a user interface designer, that you can also create a web page. You can only think of a web page and not be able to create. Then you have to hire a user interface designer to do it for you. Here there are the differences of the two professions. Of course, we will share the presentation, and you will be able to see them more thoroughly. 10 job titles requiring user experience and user interface skills. Maybe after you